Welcome to Addicted to Freedom, where we show you that you are more than just your addictions. My name is Dalton Locke, and today we're going to be talking about playing chicken and the deadly game. So when we're talking about playing chicken, I just want you to think about really what this means. So in the 1950s, I believe is when this term might have been coined, and I don't know for sure, so you can check it online and see for yourself. But what I do know is that what would happen when people would play this game of chicken, two people would get into hot rods, right, into their cars, and they would go, basically one would go on the right-hand side, meaning they would drive down the road quite some ways, and then the other one would go the opposite direction, but the two cars would face towards each other. Now, the game was this. The game was that each individual or each person, they go as fast as they possibly can towards each other, and whoever decides to rear off to the side of the road so they don't hit into each other and die on impact, that is who the chicken is, right? It's like this ultimate game of stupidity that these two people are playing. As a kid, I remember when we would play chicken and it might have been, laying in the road. This is beyond stupid, but laying in the road and waiting for a car to come and see who got up the fastest. Or I know people that would get on train tracks, and whoever got off the train track faster when a train was coming was the chicken. I mean, this is a very adolescent, stupid game. I am not condoning this on any level possible. But the last podcast, I talked about challenging you to reach the peak. And when you reach the peak, what was up there and waiting for you? Like, why was it that you wanted to make these changes? And the word I didn't really use was the word commitment. So challenge, we get to change for the word commitment because it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Because you can have the desire to want to do something, but a commitment's a whole different program. Now, what happens to most people when they decide to make a change in their life or a commitment in their life? We always want to put it off, right? I don't know if you've ever been in the process of saying that you're going to lose weight, you're going to go to the gym, you're going to do something. And so what you do is you wait for a while to get it done. It's like you have to kind of prep yourself up and get ready for it. I mean, if you look at stuff like, people putting in their New Year's resolutions and they say, hey, on this certain date, I'm going to stop this activity or I'm going to do this. And yet the reality is that most people fail before they even start. I mean, they just don't do it. And so it got me thinking that most individuals and most people, and maybe even yourself, and guess what? It's been me too. So I know this for a fact, that when we make a choice to do something different, we end up playing chicken with ourselves, right? So let me explain. Right now in our country, and I'm going to talk a little bit right now about heroin and the mass amount of people that are dying every single day from this disgusting drug. But the reason we have so many people dying on a daily basis is because people are spiking heroin with fentanyl. Fentanyl is extremely dangerous and it kills. And so people, when they're shooting up or they're doing heroin, at this point in time, they have a real high potential of dying. So if that's not playing chicken, I don't know what is, because you're not sure what you're getting in what you're shooting up. I watched some stuff recently. Actually, that's not true. It wasn't recent. It was a little while back that the FBI came out and they did a broadcast. And they were talking about how that right now there's large amounts of fentanyl coming in and being spiked with heroin throughout the United States, and that roughly 90 people a day die from fentanyl overdoses. And when these guys are dying from fentanyl overdoses, you would think that the people supplying this to anybody that wants to get high off of heroin on an economical basis would think this is a really bad idea. Like, why would you want to kill off the people that are paying you money? I mean, just economically, it doesn't make any sense. But then they went on to say that out of every 90 people that die a day, 200 more get addicted, which means they're never running out of people to sell their product to, which is just disgusting. So if that's not playing chicken, I don't know what is. playing chicken and thinking, hey, I'm going to hopefully, I'm not going to overdose. Or I heard another story a couple days ago from a gentleman that was in Uber that was an EMT. And he said that some of the people that he had just went and saw that had overdosed, they were watching each other and trying to get the strongest heroin they could. And if they were to overdose, they would use the, I can't think exactly the name of it, but anyway, you inject it into somebody. It's like a shot that brings somebody back alive when they're, overdosing. And I can't think of the right name of it. And I'm sure you can write in and tell me exactly what it is, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about here. And so these guys are playing chicken. So these are some really extreme levels of playing chicken, right? But when you're thinking about, you're going to say, hey, listen, I'm going to challenge myself. I'm going to be committed to get what I want out of life. I'm going to be committed to stop doing the thing that is hurting me or holding me back or not getting what I want. But every single time that you play chicken with yourself and you think that you're going to overcome this, and yet you keep doing the same thing, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And what I mean by that is, let's say, for instance, that you just re-upped your dose. You re-upped your drugs. You just went and bought them and you say, you know what? Once I'm done with this, then I'm going to stop using. But I'm not now because I already re-upped, right? I already got all my stuff here. I don't want to quit yet. And so today, when you make that commitment to yourself, like, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to stop, what ends up happening is you keep doing the same thing, thinking that if you just give yourself time to stop, that you're going to eventually do it. And that's bullshit. When you make the commitment to yourself in that moment, that's when you stop, right? So today you think, you know what? I no longer want to do the things that are holding me back from being free, because that's what this podcast is all about, is giving you the tools and hopefully the inspiration to want to change things in your life for the better, to create freedom in your life, because after all, that is what you deserve. You deserve freedom. We all deserve freedom. You deserve freedom in your heart. But if you say, you know what, I'm going to stop watching porn. And yet when you turn on your computer, you've got your tabs opened up to porn. I mean, do you think you're going to stop? Or if you walk into your room and you have your dope, you think you're going to stop? Or if you decide that you're going to stop drinking and yet you have a whole cabinet full of whiskey and all the drinks that you love, and you invite your friends over that you typically drink with, you think you're going to stop? I mean, these are all the ways that we play chicken with ourselves. Before, I gave you extreme examples on how people are dying by playing this game, which is not a game at all. And now I'm giving you examples of the ways that we play chicken when it comes to actually accomplishing our goals. Because if we don't cut out the things in our life that are holding us back, how the hell are we ever going to reach the pinnacle of what we say it is that we want? The thing that you think in your heart the most, or feel in your heart, the thing that runs in your mind, the thing that you feel through your soul, that you know the freedom that you can have in this world. But if you continue to play chicken with yourself, never going to get there. And that's the sad truth. I mean, I wish I could tell you that, hey, listen, you can do it any way you want to. You can keep drugs around you. You can keep alcohol around you. You can keep everything around you that's holding you back, like chains. There's a reason that we talk about chains so much, because they're heavy and they tie you up and they bind you. And those things that are in your space and in your environment, those are the chains. They're almost invisible chains. You know what I mean? Can you imagine right now if you had to go take your alcohol or your drugs or anything, really anything that's holding you back, and get rid of it, throw it away, destroy it, burn it, light it on fire? Oh, but Dalton, I don't want to do that because I don't want to waste that money. Well, guess what? You're worth more than that money. You're worth more than that. These things do not have to control you, because if you don't control them, they control you. And I'll bet you anything that if someone was to come into your space today, knock on your door, and try to tell you what to do and how to do it, that you would tell them to fuck off. I know you would. You don't want someone to control you. You don't want someone to bind you. You don't want someone to hold you back and tell you what you can and can't do. Because I sure the hell don't. But I can tell you in my life, when I have had things around, when I have made choices to say, you know what, I no longer want to do these things, if I keep them in my space and I have a moment of weakness, or I have a moment where I think I deserve something, or I have a moment where I'm stressed, or I have a moment where somebody triggers me, or I have a moment where I'm just not in my right mind, it's easy to go back to that. It's easy to open up the cabinet. It's easy to grab drugs. It's easy to grab alcohol. It's easy to avoid. But what makes it a lot harder when I take away those things and I say, you know what, I'm no longer going to have these in my home, because if I have them in my home, I have a lot more access to these things. And so, you know what, I'm probably going to do them. In my life, I've had to remove individuals. I've had to remove friends because I knew that the direction they were going, even though I loved them deeply, I had to let them go. Because it was like a car coming towards me at 80 miles an hour, and I was in my car going 80 miles an hour, and it was going to be a head-on collision because they were pulling me in a direction that was not going to serve me or help me get to where I want to be. I remember one night when I was younger, in my 20s, there were some guys I used to hang out with, and thank goodness I listened to my internal core and my soul. And for some reason that evening, I decided I didn't want to go out. I thought, you know what? I just don't want to go out. Something told me do not go out. And I can tell you, for me, when I hear that internal voice, whatever you want to call it, I listen to it. I listen to it all the time, because if I don't, I end up going another direction. You want to call it your soul, your spirit, your intuition, the universe, God, the divine. I don't care what you call it. But that night, thank God I listened to it. Because that night, a bunch of my friends decided to go out and they got extremely drunk. And they ended up getting in a fight. And they threw a bottle at a vehicle. And the guys got out and they all got in this big fight, smashed the window. And when they pulled off, they smashed into a car. But yet the car was able to still move forward. So here they are. They're going down the road. There's a one-way road. And they're being chased by the police. And they go up the road and they continue to go up the road until they crash. They all run out of the car and they go different directions and they jump over fences and so on. And what ends up happening is that the dogs chase them and they all end up going to jail for a long period of time. Because one, they were running from the police, they got in fights, assault. I mean, the list goes on. And I can tell you for myself that if I'd have been there, and by the way, there are many stories like this, and many times I have no idea why I am still here. Because I promise you, I have played chicken more times than I can count. And some of these people I'm talking about, unfortunately, they died. They didn't die from that incident, but they died later on because they continued to make those choices and they continued to run at life at 80 miles an hour towards each other, and they continued to play chicken. So if you look at yourself right now, internally, you close your eyes for a moment and you say, you know what? I'm sick and tired of playing chicken. I'm sick and tired of getting the same results I'm getting every single day, and I just can't figure out why I'm getting them. I'm sick and tired of waking up and feeling like I have 100 pounds of chains holding me down. And if I could just get rid of these chains, I would be free. I would be free. And then you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to find things that ignite my soul, that make me happy. I'm going to make those my addictions. I'm going to make my kids my addictions. I'm going to make my family my addictions. When you do those things, when you make things your addictions that serve you, that bring you joy, it's one of those things that the more you put into it, the more it gives back. It's not like drugs or alcohol or pornography or anything that's holding you back. And look, I know some people can do these things at very minimal, they can just do them whenever they want to, like occasionally here, occasionally there, and they're not going to get addicted to them. But I'm guessing if you're listening to this isn't you. Hell, food might be your addiction. I don't know. I don't really care, because it's whatever is taking away your peace, is whatever is taking away your desire to want to live and play at a bigger level. There are so many things out there that you deserve to experience. And if your eyes are blinded or you can't see because there's smoke in front of you, And yet you know what you want, you know your goals are out there, you know your dreams are out there, but you just can't seem to see through everything because your mind is focused on this one thing, whatever that is for you. Who would you be without it? That's the question. I want you to ask yourself, who would you be without it? Just pause and think about that. Who would you be without these chains? Because what holds us down ends up suffocating us and bringing us down a path of hell. But if you decide today and make a commitment that you're going to let the chains go, because you deserve to have freedom, because you desire to have freedom, because you're committed to freedom, because that is your new addiction. Fuck all this other stuff. Just fuck it. Get rid of it. Be done with it. Move forward. And as I say all the time, if you don't like what I'm saying, turn the podcast off. But there's got to be something inside of you that has led you up to listening this far. And I want to say something to you. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for trusting me. And thank you for giving me your ear and your time and your energy. Because all I want is the best for all humanity. I want everybody to experience freedom. I want everybody to live at the highest peak in life. Because when we all have the things that we want and we desire, the world is a much better place. So, slow down. Take out the keys out of the car. Decide not to play chicken. It's a child's game. You're smarter than that. And I believe you can do it. And that's why I'm going to keep spending this time and sending these messages out there, because I believe in you. If no one else in your whole entire life believes in you or not, it doesn't matter. Because at least somebody out there in this world believes in you. Now, the question is, do you believe in yourself? And if you do, put down the chains, because you deserve freedom. Thank you for listening to Addicted to Freedom. And remember, you are more than your addictions.